This week, I had 3 different women message me with basically the same message. It said something like, I should be happy. I have so much to be grateful for, but I feel so unsettled and I don't really know why. And I was like, oh, beautiful soul, I know exactly what this is. So grab your coffee or your wine, whatever you need, because we're going to talk about misalignment burnout. This is the type of burnout that not comes from doing too much or working too hard. It's actually a burnout that comes from feeling this disconnect between your values, beliefs, identity, or desires and what you're currently doing. So this disconnect, if you've ever experienced feelings of feeling inauthentic or out of integrity with yourself, then that, my friend, is classic misalignment burnout. I need to tell you a quick story about the first time I ever experienced misalignment burnout on a major level. I've never publicly shared this story before. So, like decades ago, I was dating this guy for nearly 5 years. Like, all I really knew, we had so many pictures and memories together. And yet, in year number 3, I knew it wasn't the right relationship for me. Um, and what made it so difficult was he was a really nice guy. Everything on paper looked great. And I just felt that if I broke up, would be disappointing him. I'd be disappointing his parents. And I was honestly afraid of being called a bitch or being seen or labeled as a heartbreaker. Because again, everything on the outside looked fine, looked great. There was nothing inherently wrong. But in the back of my mind, I kept having this feeling, this little whisper that said, you're settling. This isn't the right person for you. There's somebody else that's a better match out there. And what did I do? I kept dismissing the voice and I would gaslight myself. I'd think, what's wrong with me? He's amazing. He treats me well. Why do I have such high expectations? Now, here's the embarrassing part. I knew I needed to end it, but I was so terrified again of all the disappointment that I would cause, of hurting him, of breaking up our friend group. So instead of just being honest, I started withdrawing, like hoping that he would pick up on the hint and break up with me so I wouldn't have to be the bad girl or the bitch. And for the last 2 years of that relationship, I felt inauthentic being with him. I felt inauthentic trying to act like someone who was too busy for a relationship. And honestly, it was so draining. I was trying to manipulate the situation because I was too scared ultimately to disappoint anyone around me. So, classic people pleaser move, by the way. It took me 2 whole years to finally get honest, to finally have the courage to break up. 2 years of pretending that I was happy when I wasn't. And I know I'm not the only one who's experienced this before. I'm seeing a huge pattern right now of very successful people who've built empires that are basically walking away from misalignment, whether it's their business models, their offerings, their careers. They just one day decided to quit or pivot. They more or less say the same message. I'm tired of being inauthentic or feeling disconnected when everything on the outside looks great, but on the inside, I'm feeling disconnected, unaligned, out of integrity, sparkless, blah, unmotivated, stuck. I can go on and on with this list. And it doesn't just stem in career, like this can really go into relationships. Recently, Amber Ray, she's a really famous author, got a lot of hate for announcing that she was divorcing her husband that never cheated or abused her. Like, again, really great guy, just no longer in alignment. And everyone came at her on the internet basically saying he didn't cheat, he didn't abuse you, so why are you leaving? As if those are the only 2 good enough reasons to justify a divorce. To address misalignment burnout, you gotta get radically honest. Misalignment burnout is not an overnight burn. It is the slow burn. It is you've been doing the wrong thing for a long time until one day you decide enough is enough. I'm going to do something different today. I'm going to choose differently today. Typically, we hit this huge breaking point where we feel enough is enough, and oftentimes that breaking point is thrown at us like a layoff, a firing, a failure, a breakup. Leading up to that, there are a ton of subtle signs that will present themselves. Here's what I noticed is very commonly described in the clients that I work with. They experience low-level dread when you wake up. Not really dreading anything specific. It's just like this lethargicness, lack of energy or excitement throughout the day. It can feel like you're just going through the motions, like you're performing your own life instead of truly living, embracing, and enjoying it. Everyone around you looks at you like you're crushing it, but you feel purposeless. Like, what's the point of all of this? Overall, you kind of start feeling meh about everything, and you convince yourself that you should just be grateful because others would kill to be in your shoes. You fantasize about running away, not in a scary way, but like, what if I just disappeared from this life and started over in Spain? Anyone else? Just me? And this is a big one. You're constantly second guessing yourself. Like you don't trust your own judgment or your own intuition anymore. You find yourself outsourcing all your big life questions to ChatGPT, Reddit strangers, or anyone who isn't you because you've stopped trusting your own inner wisdom. And here's the big one I see. You start to do things inconsistently. Like once upon a time ago, you were very consistent with things, and then you find yourself feeling stuck, lost, confused, paralyzed, because it just feels safer to stay in the status quo than what's unknown. And can we just talk about how this hits different for us millennials? Because we were told to follow our dreams, right? But also to be practical, to be independent, to be strong, to have it all figured out by 30. So here we are, many of us in our 30s, and we did exactly what we were supposed to do. We got the degrees, we got the jobs, the house, the spouse, we checked all these boxes. But nobody told us that the boxes weren't meant to be this cookie cutter box for every human alive, that every human has their own unique set of principles, values, beliefs, and desires. What's right for me may look so opposite and different from what looks right for you or what looks right for your parents. So as I've been coaching thousands of women throughout the past years, I've identified 9 patterns that I see contributing to feeling stuck or sparkless. And I'll share more at the end about how to see all 9. But to start, I want to go over the common 3 that come up time and time again and just see if you can resonate with any of these. First, there is the pattern of people pleasing. That was me. You know what you want, you have clarity, but you're paralyzed by the thought of disappointing someone else. So you would rather betray yourself than risk someone being upset with you. Does that sound about right? Then there's the classic perfectionist. You know what you want, but you're terrified of making the wrong choice. Like, what if you leave your job and it just doesn't work out? Or what if you actually move to that city, but you hate it? So you stay stuck because staying feels safer than uncertainty or a potential failure. And then there's the women who genuinely don't know what they want. And that's because you've been living by someone else's playbook for so long, whether it's your parents, society, expectation, a timeline, your partner's dreams. You've never really had stillness to ask yourself, well, what do I really want? Who am I really as this individual being? You never really had to question it until now when something inside of you is saying, wait, is this actually what I want? Let me know in the comments, by the way, which one you are, and then we're going to go over some very first baby steps that you can take if you're resonating with any of them. But first, let's talk about how these patterns form to begin with. What happens is we build up these identities throughout life. You know, the responsible one, or the successful one, the good one, the smart one, the one who has it all together, and on and on. And we get so attached to that identity that we can't imagine being anyone else. And when you think about it, it makes a ton of sense. For a very long time, they were our survival strategy. They got us praise, belonging, affection, safety. But what happens when you've outgrown that version of yourself? When you're trying to squeeze into an identity that doesn't really fit your true essence anymore? Well, it's exhausting. It's like wearing clothes that are too small. You can do it, but it can be uncomfortable wearing it all day long. You'd much rather put on something stretchy to sit in. So speaking of stretching, I want to talk about something that Carl Jung called shadow work. And stay with me because this is huge for understanding misalignment burnout. So basically, we have all of these parts and aspects of ourselves that we've learned are unacceptable. Maybe it's being selfish or irresponsible or messy or lazy. The list can go on of whatever negative, critical attribute you find in others. So we spend so much energy trying to be the good version of ourselves that we push these parts into the shadows. But here's the thing, those shadow parts don't disappear. They just get pushed down until one day they just burst into your face, such as a beach ball that you're trying to submerge underwater, and then when you let go, it just shoots right back up. So let me give some practical examples from what I've seen in clients. You're someone who's always been the generous, considerate one. Your shadow might contain healthy selfishness. There's a part of you that knows how to set boundaries and prioritize your own needs. Yet you might find yourself judging others as selfish when really you're projecting your own disowned needs to put yourself first sometimes. Or to give you another example, if you're the hyper responsible one who always has it together, your shadow might contain the part that wants to be carefree, spontaneous even, or even a little irresponsible. You might be highly critical of people you see as flaky or unreliable. They're expressing what you've forbidden yourself to be. So the parts of yourself that you've been trying to hide or deny, they're often the exact parts that hold the key to what you actually want. For me, I was your classic type A overachiever. I was great at hustling, checking goals, winning awards, and the part that I rejected for so long was the part of me that just wanted to play and relax and have fun and not take life so seriously. I used to judge others for being lazy or unambitious, but the more I integrated that part of me and I really allowed myself to read fiction for the first time at age 35, instead of reading nonfiction and learning all the time, I actually started to discover more ease and more joy. I started to get into flow and I wasn't constantly complaining or criticizing or feeling there's something to prove any longer. And that was super liberating. So some questions for you to ponder if you're resonating with this are maybe asking, what parts of yourself have you been pushing into the shadow or denying? And what would happen if you actually let them have a voice or to be seen? And this brings me to a huge revelation. I have found so many women try to make decisions from the head. And trust me, I used to pride myself on being so practical and pragmatic. I was always proud of picking what was logical or calculated, or because I used analysis to come up with this decision. I thought it was a superpower, that it was smart, that it was safe. And it can be. But I also want you to ask yourself, am I living my life from my head or am I leading with my heart? Because living from your head isn't always the most aligned decision for you. What's practical may actually not be what is most in integrity with your values, your beliefs, your desires, your identity. So living from your head sounds a lot like what's practical, what's logical. And you're speaking from your head when you say things like, I need to, I have to, I should. Should is a huge one. Now, living from your heart and leading with your heart sounds like, well, what lights me up? What would I do even if it doesn't make any sense? What do I truly desire? If I could make anything happen, what would I want? What do I want that I'm terrified of doing? And so you'll know you're speaking from your heart when you start your sentences with, I desire to, I really want to. So yeah, most of us with misalignment burnout, we've been living from our heads for so long, we've been completely dismissing our heart's desires. And then we wonder, why am I not happy? Why am I not fulfilled? Happiness and fulfillment come from the heart. And for a lot of us, we've been so disconnected beneath our chin down. And there's so much somatic wisdom in our bodies if we're willing to slow down and get still enough to feel and hear the answers that are coming through. In short, we've been so busy being responsible and living out of fear that we forgot to ask ourselves what we actually desire and creatively think of ways to make it possible. Instead, we just immediately shut it down. Too hard, too scary, not practical, not pragmatic, and we kill all of our dreams. So here's what I want to tell you that I wish someone had told me. You do not need permission to want something different. You don't need to justify outgrowing your old life. You're allowed to change your mind and your direction. You're allowed to want more, you're allowed to evolve, and you're allowed to disappoint people in the process. And the last one is hard, right? But here's the thing, you're already disappointing someone, you're disappointing yourself. And that voice inside you that's saying something's not right, that's not your anxiety talking. That's your intuition. And she's been trying to get your attention for a while now. So I need to address something because I hear this all the time. I just need more clarity, or I need to feel more confident before I make a move. And here's the truth. Clarity comes from action, not from thinking. Confidence comes from doing the thing, not from feeling ready to do the thing. Courage isn't in the absence of fear. It's leaning into the fear and doing it scared. You're never going to feel 100% ready. You're never going to have all the answers. There's no perfect time, no perfect plan, no guarantee that it'll work out. But you know what's guaranteed? Staying where you are when you know it's not right will slowly kill your spirit and your confidence. And I've seen this over and over with the clients I support. And the good news is it is never too late to get back into alignment. Okay, so what do you do with this? Because I'm not telling you to quit your job and move to Bali tomorrow, though honestly, if that's what you want, maybe we should talk about that too. Now, if you're a people pleaser like I was, I want you to start practicing disappointing people in small ways. Say no to something that you really don't want to do. Share an opinion that might not be popular. Stop trying to manage everyone else's emotions around you. And if you identified with a perfectionist who knows what you want but is scared to make a move, remember there's no such thing as the wrong decision. There's just decisions that lead to different experiences. And each experience is valuable, even the challenging ones. They either are blessings or lessons, and they teach us what we need to know. And if you're the woman who doesn't know what she wants, I call it the pathfinder, you want to start by paying attention to what you don't want. What drains you? What's making you feel heavy? Sometimes the path forward becomes clearer when you're able to eliminate what is not working. And I love that so much because so many of us are burned out from doing too much. My invitation to you is to just pick one misaligned thing or habit or person and do less of what you're doing around that. And if you're still watching, stop trying to figure it all out in your head. State what your desires and wants are, no matter how ridiculous or impossible it sounds. Let yourself dream again and look forward to possibilities. Something shifts just in that moment of dreaming and visioning what else is possibly out there. It moves your body and your mind towards a direction. And it doesn't have to be like the final destination or that exact direction, but you're walking and you're realizing, oh, that's for me. I'm curious. I want to learn more. Or nope, that's not for me, but I'm going to go in this direction now. So you get clarity through movement, through curiosity, through just figuring out what is the next heart desire for me. Okay, I know I shared a lot just now, and if any of it resonated with you, I just want to leave you with this. You're not stuck. You're not ungrateful. You're not asking for too much. You're just ready for the next level version of yourself that wants to emerge, and this is the integration period for that. And I'm so honored that you're here, ready to listen to yourself again. Misalignment burnout really isn't a life sentence. It's just a season. It's an invitation. It's an invitation to stop betraying your true essence, your true authentic self, and just get back into alignment with what is true and really discovering what that is. And that to me is so exciting. You deserve to feel excited about your life. You deserve to feel aligned. You deserve to feel magical and like you have a spark inside of you. Because when you do start honoring what is true for you, the relief is incredible. Like you could just feel your whole body relax. The energy starts to come back. The creative spark starts to come back. And the spark that you thought you lost, well, it was just waiting for you to give it permission to shine. It's never left you. It's always there. I read each comment, so please let me know what's going on in your mind. And if you want to get really specific about what type of burnout you're dealing with out of the 9 and what to do about it, I've created this free assessment called the 9-piece quiz. It'll help you pinpoint exactly what you're experiencing, what you need to do, and what the antidote to getting back into alignment is for each of the burnout types. So check it out down below in the description box. Your future self will thank you. I see you, and I'm cheering you on from over here. If you're still watching, please be sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons. I post new videos each week for growth-seeking women who really want to cultivate a life and a career that they love. Can't wait to see you next week.